Welcome to the Sister Girls Book Club podcast. I'm your host, Cherie, and we are back with a brand new episode and a guest. Today we have Jordan Hernandez, who is a visionary behind Completely Booked, a literary movement dedicated to celebrating diverse voices in literature. Launched in 2020, her multi platform community has garnered national recognition, including features on Oprah's Book Club and The Today Show. Completely Booked encompasses a monthly virtual book club uniting members nationwide for live discussions with featured authors alongside engaging book events, vibrant social media platforms, an informative newsletter, and an exclusive book merchandise. I love that. How are you doing today, Jordan?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Okay, I always start with this icebreaker question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your favorite song this season or this month, where are you? You have to tell me the song, and based on the song, where are you from on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, wow. On a scale of 1 to 10, so I think right now my favorite song this season is not necessarily a new song. It's called Big by Pastor Todd Michael, I think it is. And I
Mm-hmm.
listened to the song, like I know it's going to be my Spotify wrap at the end of the year because I listen to it like all of the time. So on a scale of 1 to 10, that song is it's a gospel song. It just talks about like something big is coming, and the next thing is going to be big. And I think right now I honestly might be like at an 8 or a 9 with that. So right now I think that's one of my favorite songs. And if I had to throw a second one in there, it's Corritos de Fuego by Israel Houghton and New Breed. Adrian's on it, her sisters are on it, and that song is just hype, and it's so good. So I think out of both of those on a scale of like 1 to those songs, I think I'm on like 8 or 9.
I love that, especially Big, because that's on my gospel playlist. I play that like every single day.
Yes, but
It's so
honestly,
motivational, and it's like you don't know what it is going to be, but it's going to be
it's gonna
big.
be big. It's gonna be big, and it's been my song for like the last like year and a half, I guess I would say. Corritos just came out in well, I went to the concert in January, and then actually came out on Spotify in May, I believe it was, and that's another gospel song. It's just all in Spanish, but yeah, both of those are my jam right now.
I know the song because I remember they did the live recording and had like a
Yes.
don't we here to talk about books and we still get going.
We'll be passing the plate by the end of this, right?
I know, right? So, all right, let's talk about Completely Booked and tell us,
Yes.
how did you start Completely Booked? How did you even like think, okay, let's build a community around literature? Because you have a background in content marketing. So that
Mhm.
means you could have went any direction with your social media, but it landed on books. So tell us how.
Yeah, so it's kind of something that I didn't really dream of the concept. I just started posting books every other week on my own personal Instagram. At that time, I had just finished commuting a long way from Central Jersey to Manhattan and had a lot of time to read. And I would have different books or magazines in my bag, and someone would just say, "Oh, what are you reading? Can you recommend a book?" So I started posting on my own personal page and called it Completely Booked every other week. And then actually on February 23rd, 2020. I was just like, I was laying in bed. I was like, let me just make it its own page and just, whatever, who cares? And posted a bunch of stuff and could have never dreamt of the impact and the growth in the community that it would have had. So I think it truly is just from a love of storytelling. And I wouldn't even necessarily say it was a love of reading per se. I think hearing stories and listening to other people's stories and just learning about characters in that format on that platform is really what guided me to start posting and giving other people recommendations.
I love that. And because the thing about posting, you never know which direction is going to go because you went from posting on social media to now you have a virtual book club. You also
Yes.
have like your book swap, which is very, very popular. And you also sell merchandise. You are a moderator. We'll get to that a little bit later, how you got into that. Like you've been on a
Yeah.
Today Show, you've been talked about over. Like, did you ever think that just posting a few things that just like it would even turn into low key another whole job, right?
Well, that's the thing. It is a whole nother thing. And it's interesting because I went to school for communications.
Mhm.
And growing up, I always, if anyone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said an entertainment broadcaster. So I always wanted to do some kind of broadcasting and sharing news on television. And as you get older and you start having other interests, when I went to college, I was very interested in advertising. And when I left college, I worked in both journalism and advertising right out of school with the job that I had. And I loved ad sales, and it's just not what I'm in anymore, but I loved that, right? So as you grow older, your path just starts to take different form and you get interested in different things. But I've always had this knack of presenting and talking and communicating. So it's just interesting that, and again, to get churchy, but it's just interesting of how God has orchestrated my steps to then kind of still keep that talent there. And also this love, what I thought was just going to be posting pictures of books, has then full circle, like you mentioned, moderating, being on TV spots, those kind of things, which really brings everything full circle.
Mhm. I love that. And I think that it's always interesting because I think if you're not a part of like the book community, it almost seems like what is like you're in like Hogwarts. Like you go into like a whole nother like trying to tell people you get these opportunities simply because you love literature and you
Books.
love spreading like your storytelling. It's like, well, you end up on the Today Show, you end up in Martha's Vineyard, you end up it's like, wait, what? And
I was
so
just in DC a couple weeks ago and was with a friend, and he's, we're going past the convention center for the National Book Festival. It was the day before, so nothing was really going on, but people were kind of starting to congregate. And I said to him, like, oh, all my little nerds are in there, and I'm so excited. And he's not a part of the book world at all. And he was like, this is so wild. And he knows more about the book world because I'm in it and we're friends, but
Mhm.
he's just like, this is so wild that it's all because
Mhm.
of books.
So when it comes to selecting books that you read, how do you make the cut? How do you give the books? How do you make the cut? How do you be like, okay, this is the book that I'm going to make the content about. I'm going to talk about the real. I'm going to include it in a listicle. I'm going to recommend it to my book club or even make it a monthly book club selection.
Yeah. So with the book club selection, I think that's probably the most pressure is a strong word, but the most pressure, right, to pick a good book because I don't read the book before I pick it for book club. So
Okay.
I'm reading it along with everyone else for a while because the author is on my book club every month. For a while, it was really just whoever got back to me when I
Mhm.
was getting my name out there and talking to publishers, emailing authors. It was just, I would email like 10, 15 authors and maybe one would get back. So I would have to jump on that person's
Mhm.
book. Now I am to the point where I do get pitches or people reach out. But I actually still like being the one to do the research and see. The premise of Completely Booked is that we read books from stories from authors or characters of all different backgrounds.
Mhm.
So I do try to diversify it naturally just because I like seeing myself in books. I
Mhm.
do happen to read a lot of Black women, but I find with that, while I absolutely love our stories, I enjoy reading them myself and having that time for myself, and then making sure that we're very much focusing on representation for book club. So we have Latino authors, Asian authors, we've had deaf authors, veterans, mothers, fathers, LGBTQ, queer authors that have come on, people from different socioeconomic statuses. We've had people who have to remain anonymous, who don't show their face on camera
Mhm.
because of just the lifestyle that they've chosen versus what their family would want for them. So that's really how I go about it, and making sure that from month to month, we're reading different stories. In terms of what I post in my reels, my listicles, those I have all read. I can pretty much
Mhm.
say that, like, if it's on a list, if it's on a recap or a recommendation for me, I have read the book cover to cover, and I've listened to the audio as well, probably. So I'm giving a genuine recommendation for that book.
That's good because that's always like the big thing. Do the content girlies actually read the
Read the
books,
book.
right?
I'm pretty forthcoming. If it's not released yet, or if I'm just posting because somebody sent it to me, like I'm pretty forthcoming about that in the caption. But if it's on a list, I've read it.
Okay. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you because I think I wanted to start talking to people in the literary space that are not just like authors, right?
Mhm.
Because there's a whole team and push behind these books to get them in front of like new readers, recurring readers, and I think sometimes people not overlook content creators, they just see it as like this is really fun. So it's not a job or it's not like a thing that you have to actually work towards and schedule and like move up and like have goals. And
Mhm.
so with you, I remember like when you started in 2020, that's crazy because I literally remember like following you like that and like just seeing you go and ascend further and further. So how one question is how do you balance that? Because you have a full-time job, you're a
Mhm.
fitness girly,
Yes.
you have like a whole baking company where you got I'm like, how does she do all of this? And then you manage not only to make content, but also host events. Like, how do you manage that? Because I think a lot of people who want to get into the space as content creators, book reviewers, or podcasters, or even start a
Mhm.
book club, they're like, how am I actually going to juggle this,
Yeah.
including my regular life and responsibilities?
For sure. Well, I always preface that by saying I have a twin sister. So it
Mm.
is two of us that are doing a lot of the things. Of course, she doesn't work for me or, go to my full-time job for me or anything like that. But I do have someone to run logistics by, right? So especially with the baking business, like for instance, right now, as we're recording this, she's decorating cookies. So yes, of course I can. And I will, after this, decorate cookies. But of course I can say, oh yeah, I have this business going, but I have somebody else to help me. I also think putting things into perspective and kind of prioritizing. My full-time job is always going to be my first, right? Because that's I pay my bills. If that's not going, kind of everything else falls apart. And then it's really doing what it is that you love and setting out to do it only because you love it. I think now we've gotten into a space where people are like, I want to be a content creator just for the sake of being a content creator. They're sharing their lives. And some people it's hilarious. Some people are really great. And I love that for them. Some people go into the beauty space, which is pretty hard to break into. The book space is getting hard to break into. But you have to do it because you love it. And I think that's what keeps me going. I am a very consistent person. So I think that doing things every day doesn't come hard to me, right? It's just something that I've always done. And so I do preface with that as well, that I'm just a very disciplined and consistent person. So if you don't have that, it will be tough. But yeah, not getting into this for the sake of content creating, getting into it because you love what it is that you're content creating about, and then everything will fall into place.
I love that. And because you have like built a community, it's not just like your social media pages.
Mhm.
How do you navigate that? Because you're not just people look to you as almost like the president of something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like your job is to curate a safe environment while also allowing people to express their truths, which
Mhm.
may vary depending on what you read, because you never know what's going to pop up or start a conversation in a book
Yeah.
club, something as simple as a book club chat. And you'll be like, how do we get to this? Like people telling their deep, dark stories or like
Yeah.
their part stories or not being able to show empathy because they've never witnessed it or they just don't even believe it's true. So how do you even navigate that space? And then it's all women, right? To keep
Yeah.
it safe, but also keep it, let people be open and have that ability to be honest. How do you navigate that as just even like a book club founder?
Yeah, I think what you hit the nail on the head of is creating a safe environment. So for book club specifically, it is virtual. We do meet via Zoom. We have members from across the country, and as mentioned, the author is on every month. I have a lot of people that reach out and ask, "Oh, I can't make it this month. Can you record it and post something, or can you record and just email it to me?" And my answer is always no, because it creates that safe space. We do talk about, pretty personal things on book club, whether that comes up via the characters. If people choose to share their personal stories, we've had tears, we've had, cracking up and laughing where I can't control myself laughing. We've had spoilers for books on stories. We've had authors slip up and say what's coming next for them on book club. And I never want anyone to feel like they have to be on camera. Some people, I talk to a camera every day, right? And like I said, I go to school for communications. I grew up being in front of the TV. So this is who I am always, right? But I'm very comfortable in front of this setting. Some people aren't, and they completely shut down, and they don't want to share anything. Some people feel like they have to have on this facade when they're on camera. We all have our different coping mechanisms, and that's for each of us to determine. But I don't want book club to feel like that, and so I think because I've created that space during that time, people have built that trust with each other. It's pretty much the same people that come, but I do have people, that come in and out. There's no pressure. If you come once, you come once. If you never come again, come again. If you come every month, that's great. No pressure at all. You can come in and out. And so I think the casual nature is nice, but I also think the respect that I give the authors and what I put on my page automatically creates that safe environment, right? People know that they can be themselves, but I'm also not playing around. Don't come here and bash anybody else. Don't come here and talk out of the side of your mouth, because that's just not tolerated. I will mute you and I will exit you from the Zoom very quickly. And I think, I've never had to do that, but I think people know that that's just how I'm coming.
I like that a lot because it also sets the tone. Like there are boundaries even in a space that is safe. Like we still
Yes.
want to be like, okay, we have something rules. Don't just come and go crazy just because we said be yourself. It's like, well, Not all the way if it's going to be so negative.
It was gonna be right, and I have it in my email when I send out, this is a safe environment. Hatred or anything like that will not be tolerated, and it's just kind of like it's just there. And I think people in the book world are so nice and so open and so genuine that it hasn't, luckily it hasn't been a problem at all, and I don't foresee it being a problem. But yeah, to your point, people are looking to me for that and to create that space. And it's nice, people who I've met through book club are genuinely my friends. They don't see me, and I hope nobody sees me as like an influencer celebrity, like this like untouchable person, because this is who I truly am. And when I'm out and about with them, they get the same person.
Now, when you say you're not a celebrity, that's interesting, because how does it feel to like navigate? Like, because when you're making content or even in book club, or you're very like in front of a camera, but the people are not in the space, right? So then you
Yeah.
go to a book event, or you actually go maybe to see one of your authors that in your town or your city, and then you notice that people notice you,
People
and you're
know
like,
who,
they're
yeah.
like yada yada yada, and then people are like, oh my god, you're, and like we're all there to see the author, but now it's starting to be a shift where now the content creators are just as like have their own fan base as well, because they
Yeah.
like readers like the content that they put out, the interviews, whether
Mhm.
they're listening to them, they're familiar faces. So how have you been able to navigate that? And what was like when was the first time that you realized like, oh snap, this is not just like me and a camera and maybe a
Right. I think because I am a twin and people stop us a lot in the streets and ask if we're twins, I think I have, I've had those moments with people where people are like, oh my God, are you twins? And it is a kind of like celebrity ask. I went into Little Boho Books, which is here in New Jersey, a Bayonne. It's in Bayonne, New Jersey. And it's a Black-owned, woman-owned bookstore. And I went in there, and that was one of the first times someone was like, oh, completely booked. And I was just like, yes. And she's like, oh my God, I have to take a picture. My daughter loves you, like this whole thing. And Sandra's so sweet. I feel like a mouse could come in there and she'd probably throw a party, right? Like that's just how she is. So I appreciate it, but I think she's such a sweet and lovely person that she'd probably do that for anybody. That was really one of the first times that I was like, oh wow, like people really, people are paying attention. And it actually just this past Saturday, I was at a festival in Jersey City, not a book festival. It was just a like vendor fair. And someone came up to me and was like, are you a book influencer? And I said, yes. And she's like, oh my God, yes, you're Jordan. I know who you are. I get it oddly more in Jersey City than I do in Hoboken. Because I've had it a couple of times when I've been out. I was out for my birthday and dancing on the dance floor at a bar. And someone came over to me and was like, I love your page. So it is it's interesting to think that people are really actually like taking those recommendations, not just like my mom, my dad, and my sister liking my my videos.
Yes, that's so funny because my mother always said, your book club is like, a little church choir, like, with this real small little storefront church. And then we went and had our event, like this Biana in like in August. And
August,
then she saw
yeah.
the line, and the line was wrapped around a few blocks. And she was like, oh, look, the church is now a mass choir, little choir.
You have a mega church.
You got a little church going on before a little storefront.
That
And it's
is
just
so
so
funny.
interesting because it's like your parents, they see it and they love everything you do, but they don't
Right.
get the impact unless they're in this space, and then they'll see like, oh wow, this is different.
Oh yeah.
Um
Well, I mean, my mom is on every book club, so people
yeah.
will knock down doors to meet her before they ever care about meeting me. They always are like, "Is your mom on? Is your mom on?" So they see she gets it more when I'm out with her and about books. She gets it more than I did.
That is so funny. But so how did you you have a virtual book club. How did you what came first, your event, the book swap event, or the virtual book club? And so how did you go
Virtual
this?
Yeah, virtual book club came first. I
Mm,
didn't have a regular book club when I started completely booked. I just was posting, and
yeah.
just like everybody in 2020 was getting on once a week with friends,
Mhm.
just talk virtually about books.
Mhm.
And someone had Hoboken Girl is a big blog here in Hoboken. It is very much a local Oprah effect. If you're
Mhm.
posted on her page, and she had posted about me like a couple of times. I did a couple of, and I write for the blog. I've written for them for about 8 years now.
Mhm.
And she'd posted a couple of times and people just kind of started reaching out. Then there was one like soft post about me having a book club, and it's a couple of people joined. And then there was like a list of virtual book clubs to join in the area. And mine was, because it's completely booked, as a C, and it was, the list was alphabetical. Mine happened to be the first
Mhm.
one. And all of these people started reaching out. Can I join your book club? Can I join your book club? Can I join your book club? And I was like, I don't I don't have a book club. And I was like, well, I guess now I have a book club. And that was in November of 2020. And we started January of 2021. And then one of my good friends who comes on book club every month, Jeanette, she was friendly with an author of the Prophets, Robert Sherman Jr. And she's like, I'm sure he'd come on. I can maybe reach out and see. And at the end of that book club, I was like, wow, thank you so much, Robert, for coming on. I can't believe we had the author. Like, maybe in the future we can get another one at some point. And he was like, oh, like authors would love to do this. Like like you guys are buying our book, so why not? And he just said it. I don't know if you've met Robert Sherman Jr. Like the world is his oyster, right? Like he just said it as casually as he just says everything. And I was like, and just started reaching out that way. So I really credit Jeanette for the idea of me getting the author on every month for book club.
Now with the book swap event, how did you what made you go, let's do it in person and then do a book swap? Because you could have started off with like an author signing, a scavenger hunt, they got the reading challenges where you go meet in person and do different things. What made you say book swap? And why do you think it's been so popular? Because your events do really, really well. I mean, obviously people like to go to be more in person anyway, but why do you think it's so popular? And you have it's such a diverse crowd, all walks of life come to your event.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I am not a secondhand user. I'm just not. I understand my privilege in saying that, but I'm just not. So I don't like other people's books. And I also don't share my own books nicely. So I am not the target audience for a book swap at all. I love
so I run a book swap event, but I don't really.
I don't want your book. I don't want your book. You can't have any of mine. But I just like to chit chat, right? So no, I saw a few people. I heard of the idea of a book swap. And I saw a few people on Instagram from different parts of the country hosting these book swaps when the world opened back up, right, in 2021. And so I was like, I think, I can do something like that, and floated the idea by a few people. And it just, that first one that I had in November of 2022, I guess it was 2023. No, 2022 was unbelievable. I was just like, I did not think this many people were going to come out. We had a bunch of book clubs there that you could sign up for. And then the first few that I did were like that, where it was a book swap and book club fair. I should bring that back. Book club fair, people can sign up for book clubs in the area, obviously including mine, and learn more about them. And it just, people, it's interesting with books, and it brings me joy that people like to share stories, but it also is a little bit disheartening that people don't like to spend money on books, right? Library, I am an advocate for the library. I'm on the board of the Hoboken Library. I'm a huge advocate of going to the library and utilizing that resource. I also think there's just something about being able to go back to your own book. And I would say most of the people who come to my book swap can, they buy their own books, they can afford their own books, but it is such a nice resource to have. And like you said, I get all walks of life. I have people who are coming who just found out about Eventbrite. They have no idea who I am. They don't, they come in and they're just like, hey, what's up? Like, I check their ticket and that's it. And they don't know who I am. I have people who come just to meet me. I have people who come because their friends are coming. They're in the area. They want to be out and about with people. And it's nice. And it's just, even the one that we had together wasn't even that many people, but the right people were in the room, right? The conversation was so great. Sometimes I get to have conversations with everybody who's there. And sometimes I'm pressed against the wall and I'm like, there's 150 people in front of me swapping books. And this is so overwhelming, but it's amazing. So I just think, people like to share stories, like to get recommendations from other people. And it's happening in real time. It's also one of the only places that you can go to shop. Obviously, you're not buying anything, where the inventory is changing over every 10 minutes. Anytime somebody else walks in and dumps a pile of their books on the table, a whole new world that you've opened up, right? Like right now, someone is reading, Scarlet Letter, and Hester is getting the A put on her. Somewhere right now, Sparks Like Stars, one of my favorite books, an Afghan girl is coming to the United States for the first time, right? Like those things are happening for somebody as they're reading those books. And it could have been something you read 10 years ago. So I think that that's what people are talking about while they're there and making those connections. And it leads to bigger conversations that we should be having as people, especially nowadays.
And I think it's so interesting because I always like this. I like the book swap idea because I'm like you. I do like buying books myself, and I don't like lending them out.
I'm in the small room. I have a, well, yeah,
Like,
not in New York City, Hoboken
so
apartment,
I
3
thought
bookshelves
about
in my bedroom.
when I thought about doing the books, I'm like, these are books that you need to part with, that you don't like, just let it go and let go. But I think because it says so much about who you are, like why you bought this book, why did you bring this book even into
Mhm.
this space, and what book you want to pick up. You know what I mean? What book are you putting down,
Yeah.
and what book are you picking up? And I think that's always interesting to show, like the personality and what conversations that brew from that, especially
Mhm.
because again, you have such a diverse audience. So
Yes.
whereas I might come in and I might bring like maybe I'm trying to think of who I actually part with. Nobody, but I'm gonna just lie. Or like if I had a Kennedy Ryan paperback or like, you know, Takira Allen or something, and I brought it there, and it's like, well, why did you choose this book? And like, who do you
Mhm.
want to pick it up? And like, people pick up books for various reasons. They just pick it up because of the cover, and then you
Cover,
end up,
right.
and it's like they now have a whole new favorite author just because I
Yeah.
decided to. And I think that's what I love about the book swap is because like you're introducing people to new readers, and it's not like outfits. It's not trendy. Like you can read a book for the first time that was like written in like at any given moment.
Moment,
That's what
right.
I love about books. Yeah, it's like you can
Yeah.
always have a first time of reading a book, popular,
Well,
not
and
popular.
people, like, wear it as a badge of honor when someone takes their book from the table.
Yeah.
You know, like, "Oh my god, you got my book, I put that down," like you said, "because X, Y, and Z reason, and I read it, and I absolutely loved it," or some people are like, "Ah, like, I didn't love that one." Someone's like, "What? What do you mean you didn't love that one?"
Mhm.
And like you said, I'm bringing, mostly Black authors. Because I get books sent to me now, I have parted with some books at book swaps,
Mhm.
things that are just sent by publishers, and publishers have actually sent books to just go on the table,
Mhm.
which is nice. So yeah, there are some books that I've parted with, but I'm bringing mostly diverse authors, right? And then living in a pretty white town, sometimes though that's a good chunk of the people who are there, and they've never heard of these authors. So when I
Mhm.
hear of a woman my age, in her 30s, early 30s, and she's never heard of Kennedy Ryan, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, that's just wild to me. Like, you have to take this book.
Mhm.
So that's the beauty of sharing stories, but also like I've never read a Colleen Hoover book, right?
Mhm.
So, or like I've read like one Emily Henry book. And so
Mhm.
somebody might be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like you know all the books and blah blah blah. So it's a good conversation.
Yes. So you've had a busy literary summer, right? One
Yes.
being one being you were booked
I was
completely.
completely booked.
So one being the Martha's Vineyard Black Book Festival, where you were a moderator, and then
Yes.
you had an interview with your mom. It dropped. I'm not sure if it was taped there, but it dropped in the summer.
Yes.
Conversation inspired by matriarch Miss
Mhm.
Tina Knowles' memoir. For those who
Yes.
don't know, I don't know who doesn't know.
Right.
Um, so how do you feel when you land these opportunities and knowing that it's all tied to your love of books? And if you could tell us, something cool that happened in each event, like the Martha's Vineyard, Black Book Festival, and then film with your mom to talk about books. That's like,
Yes.
oh, you're in the end.
It's wild. I saw, I don't know if anyone follows Kimberly Bizu, and she used to go by Slim Kim, and she has her own things going on. I'm not an overly huge fan, but I am a fan. But one thing that she said that really stuck with me was that she's like, you could be very grateful for opportunities, but not be surprised by them. Right. And I was like, okay, like, because I was feeling like there's something wrong, that I was like, yeah, like I should be getting these things, right? Like I'm extremely grateful, and I've prayed for them, and I've worked hard for them. But because I've prayed for them, because I've worked hard for them, because I've had such deep conversations with the God of where am I going with this path, when these things come, I'm like, yes, like, okay, like this is what we're working towards, and I'm extremely grateful for them. And it's just, so I watch myself of saying like, oh my God, it's so unbelievable, because I don't think it's so unbelievable, right? But in the same way, I'm so grateful for these opportunities. So I try to toy that line easily, right? Of being like, yes, like this is what I've earned, and this is what I've worked for, and being so grateful for them. But it is just one of those things that you're like, wow, I never, like I said, I grew up wanting to report on things, wanting to do broadcasting, and I thought it was going to be in the entertainment world and celebrities and all of that. And to me, as I got older, that world just has gotten messy. And it's all just like mudslinging and just not talking nice about people. And that's just not who I intrinsically am. And with books, I mean, if I bash somebody, it's a character, right? Like it's like probably not a real life character. So that's a whole different thing. And the fact that books have gotten me here is just, it's amazing. Martha's Vineyard was, it was amazing. It was just it was so nice to be able to be there with my whole family. My parents came, my sister came, my sister in the book space, Kayla Star. So if you follow at It's Kayla Star, she used to be Black Girl Book Adventure on Instagram. She is such a light in this community, and we didn't know each other that well before this year. And so to have this experience, we stayed together. Like, she was in the house with me, my parents, and my sister. So to have that experience, my dog got to come, which was wild. She had just had surgery right before. We didn't want to leave her with a sitter. And so we were like, okay. And they were fine with her being at the book festival. So she got to come with us, which was amazing. And that was really, really, really great. I think that's what made it so special. That I could have my eyes on everyone that I love while I was doing what I love. I didn't have to worry about anyone being at home or anything like that. The Tina Knowles thing was just so cool. Obviously, we filmed at the Penguin offices, so doing that. And I think a lot of times we have conversations with our parents, and I'm extremely close to my mom. I think today my mom has called me. If I looked at my phone, I've talked to my mom 6 times today, right? So like, I'm extremely close with her, and we're always in constant communication, but not necessarily always deep communication like that. So to have those conversations and to bring that up, and just to have that memory, and we talk about both of my grandmothers who have passed away. We talk about some of my mom's cousins, who are like my aunts, that are matriarchs in their own rights of our family. So to have that documented and on like Oprah lighting is just amazing.
Yes, and it's so funny because when you see someone from afar, you're like, "Go, Jordan, go, run,
I
Jordan, run."
appreciate
I was like,
it.
so hyped. I was like, "Oh my God." I was so hyped because I'm like, you're so like deserving of it. And like, you have the heart for it. So I was like hyped. I was like, oh my
Oh, thank
goodness.
you.
And so when you're doing this work, a lot of the weight can be heavy because you're not just pushing like a blow dryer or the new makeup.
Mhm.
What you say can literally impact an author and how much they make in their livelihood. That's
Yeah.
that's a weight. And I don't
Yes.
think I ever started thinking about that until maybe recently, when like a lot of topics came up and like people started banning books, or just like this
Mhm.
different things people were saying based on maybe the likability or what the author may have said online. And I'm always paying close attention, or I would say special attention, to Black authors, more specifically Black women authors, because I'm
Yeah.
just like, we have to tote the line when it comes to
Mhm.
what can be said publicly.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel that pressure of just like, okay, I have to keep going, because if I don't, this could be like, it can impede on like someone else's career. Like, do you ever feel that weight of like just saying like, well, I have to keep doing it anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm very careful with my reviews. If I don't like a book, or if I don't like something, about the book, I'm going to either not post about it, I'm just not going to talk about it, or I'm going to be very factual about the book. I might say like the author wrote this or that, but I'm not going to necessarily say, like, oh, this is a must read, or I may recommend to somebody that you read it on an airplane, or it's a beach read. I'm going to recommend how you're going to read it. I might not be like, this is the life-changing book that somebody else is talking about. I was actually just in a conversation with Angela Flournoy, the author of The Wilderness, and she was just longlisted for the National Book Awards. I just filmed something with her, and we were talking about this, where people tag authors, not necessarily her, but tag authors in bad reviews. And I'm like, look, I mess up at my job 15 times a day, right? Luckily, I don't work doing surgery or anything like that. It's not life-threatening if I mess up like a typo on an email. But I can't imagine if every time I write an email, someone is over my shoulder saying, that's terrible. Yeah, that email sucks. Yeah, that email was bad. That one was okay. Yeah, this next one was terrible. Ooh, actually, that was a really good one. Yeah, I really like that email. Okay, next one, terrible. Because when you're doing that online, like when you're giving a bad review, that's essentially what you're doing to this person's job. And you're telling their boss, you're telling their boss's boss, you're telling their, bill collectors, you're telling their family, you're telling their friends, like, hey, they did this and they did a bad job. And also there's probably like a million copies printed and they can't change it. So like, that's wild, right? Like, that's so crazy
And
to
the
do
funny
to
thing
somebody.
is, you don't realize that it's not just you doing it. It's you
Yeah.
plus 50 or even hundreds. It depends on what it is.
Yes,
And they
right.
did it all at the same exact time. It's not like
Time.
you can schedule, okay, when is somebody gonna hit me up on Instagram or hit me up on TikTok or Facebook?
Right.
You can't schedule like office hours for like that. It just comes, and it's like,
Yeah.
never know what the author is going. Like we kind of, I feel like now more than ever, people have like dehumanized people in the
Mhm.
art space, like, or even if
Yeah.
they're online, it's like, well, you have to, or if you took this type of job, you should have known. Saying somebody should have known something is just like,
It's
wait,
not.
what?
Well, and also saying they should have known because that's their passion, right? Like
Mhm.
and I feel the same way about singers and actors. Like we've deemed as society that these are the people that we put a spotlight on. So just because they're good at something and we've deemed as society that we want to look at them, like they shouldn't have known that, right? Like if you're a good writer, you're a good writer, and that's what you're meant to do, and that's what you're doing. So that's just, yeah, it's an interesting thing. And I think sometimes because I'm in such a bubble with people who read diverse stories, and particularly Black stories, but diverse stories in general, again, going back to the Kennedy Ryan thing, I'm like, oh, of course everybody knows Kennedy Ryan, of course everybody knows Angela Flournoy, of course everybody knows Melissa Casacchino, like of course everybody knows Mateo Oscar Report. Like those are author names that I drop when I'm, saying who's been on my
Mhm.
book club. But then I go sometimes to book events where it is a diverse crowd, the National Book Festival being probably the most diverse. And I am in conversations with other influencers that are book influencers, and they don't know these people. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, you've never heard of this person, you've never read one of their works.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm like fangirling, texting my book club
Mhm.
friends, like, do you believe this person just said yes? Oh
Mhm.
my God. And this other person has no idea who they are. And I'm like, and that's what keeps me going, of making sure that these diverse stories are heard. Shout out to Threads and Meta. Say what you want about Threads and Meta, but their book club has been very diverse. That we just read a Native American author. I don't see many other national book clubs doing that. Oprah does it, but not many other people. Reese isn't overly doing it. Jenna sometimes, but not all the time. So like getting these books out there is so important. And if I can if I can draw on that diverse crowd from Book Swap, people leave and they follow me, and then maybe they're reading stories of people who aren't like them and learning just a little bit, right? We can't learn everything from one book of reading about, if I'm calling out Native American, we don't know everything about Native Americans from reading this rom-com book that I read, but I know something. I know a little bit more than I did before I read the book.
Yeah, that's to me what it's all about, literally what it's
Mm-hmm.
all about, especially in these times. So
Yes.
you are a fitness girly,
Yes.
running like right about to have like training for like the marathon, right?
Marathon. Yes.
And you have shared that part of yourself on Completely Booked, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually been into your content. So what made you include that, and how do you know when something in your personal life is that you can share and like incorporate it into Completely Booked, and when not to like put that in there? It's like, okay, I'm going to put the fitness, but I might not show y'all
Do this, right.
that's something else.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It is, you want to live as a person, and you're only posting exciting things, right? Like Instagram truly is a highlight reel. I'm not posting that I'm gonna like, brush my teeth after this or something. Like that's just not gonna make it onto Instagram. But I think people are always, I get two things when I talk to people about reading and running. Oh, I should read more. Oh, I should run more. And my answer to that is like, one, because I'm doing it, please do not feel like you need to do it. But two, my answer to that is always, well, why? Why do you want to read more? Is it reading more? Do you want to listen to audiobooks? Do you want to watch a television show? Like, why do you want that to be your diversion? And definitely with running, because you got to really, like, you got to be into it, right? Like there's a million other exercises out there. You do not need to be running. Get your feet checked, get your legs checked, like all that stuff before you start running, because ask me how I know, before you do all of that. So to share my personal stuff like that on Completely Booked, I've had people ask. I shared it a lot last year when I trained for the marathon on my personal page, but not so much on Completely Booked. And then when I ran the marathon, I posted about it, and so many people were, how did you get there? Oh my God, blah, blah. And I realized, oh, the marathon was a party, right? Like when you show up that day, they have your water ready for you, they have your fuel ready for you, the course is mapped out, you have cheerleaders. Like that's the easy day. It's the training that, this past weekend I ran 16 miles. And when I woke up, I was like, oh, I really wish I would have signed up for a half marathon. I don't feel like packing my own water. I don't feel like packing my own fuel. I don't feel like mapping out the miles and where I need to go. Like they would have done that for me if I just would have signed up for a random half marathon. That's the hard work, right? So now I think this year posting that, so it's not just that finish line that people see, but all the things that go into leading up to that.
I love that too, because at least, and it also lends itself to like health and just like you can
Mhm.
be active and you can be multifaceted. A lot of times people feel like if they're not posting about a book and they have a content like a page or a social platform, they can't do anything else. It's like their
Yes,
heart.
right.
Like it's like if they go on to read and stuff, it's like I can't post anything. It's like, girl, you do other things. Like incorporate
Right.
that as well. You won't, nobody won't really mind. And usually it'll open up people like I do that too. Uh,
Right, right. And like, oh my God, I want to get in. I want, and actually, when I was at the Bronx Book Festival, I was talking to Morgan from Pretty Little Bookshelf, and I was like, oh, I'm actually going to like really kick it into gear training this week for the marathon. And she's like, will you post about it, please? I was like, really? And her and Turning Pages with Mimi was there too, Amira, and she was like, yeah, I want to, I want to see. And I was like, okay. So, kind of getting that cosign from other people in the book world
mhm.
that want to see also.
Yes, and it shows like we're not just reading books and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
absolutely. I'm
have
completely booked. I got to show you that I'm completely booked.
yeah. Okay, so when thinking of your next goal or like even your dreams for completely booked, where do you want to take it? Or even like what's the next thing for you? Like whatever it is. It can be moderated, it can be just what is it?
Yeah. I mean, right, coming up soon, I have the Morristown Book Festival. That is August. I keep messing up the date. Whatever that Saturday is, I think it's August. Not August. We're not in August anymore. It is
Mhm.
October. October 11th is when
Okay.
that one is. So that is like actually the next book thing that I have. I'm filming a few things like around that time with different publishers, but that's the next like actual thing that I'll be at. But in terms of where I like ultimately would love to take this, and I'm speaking out into existence on as many platforms as I possibly can. I would love to do a Today Show, like a regular segment, or GMA could call me, but Today Show, I'm a little partial to Today Show. Today Show segment monthly, quarterly, we sort of quarterly, monthly, ideally for diverse book picks for the month. Jenna has her books, and that could be one of them that we recommend for the month. But I think giving people like 3, 4, maybe 5 books a month from diverse authors that are coming out would be a great segment for Completely Booked.
I love that. Actually, that works. Actually, that like that's an easy like slide in too. It's not nothing. Honestly, yeah, I just want like to interview Beyonce next, and then after that,
I don't know.
like
Beyonce, as much as I'm a huge Beyonce fan, the amount of
me
Beyonce fans
too.
I have real. She doesn't speak to anybody. It's for me
I
to be that.
know.
That's a lot of pressure, and I need to watch. I don't know if that could be me, but
But to me, this
I
was like
appreciate it.
something that was like, oh, I could see that in like the next year. Like it wasn't something like you should have been like, oh, okay, Jordan. It was like,
Yes,
oh, that seemed like a reasonable next step. Like even if it
yes,
was like a dream, it was like I can see that as an expect step for your brand. So I love that. Okay, so the business of books. Like I think people think that y'all that or us, it's not a business. So what is something that you
yeah.
can tell people who get into content creation about the business side that you didn't know yourself until you were like knee deep in that they can say, okay, you need to know this out the gate when it comes to the business of it all. And if you can even speak more on the business about, what it takes to run these platforms and have that community and events.
Yeah, I think really be, aware if you want it to be a business or if not, right? Like when I first started, I didn't really think about the metrics and stuff behind social media. I was just posting it because I enjoyed posting and I like posting on social media. So I wasn't really thinking about it that way. I think now that I'm deep into it, one of the main big like takeaway tips, and I learned this from the founder of Hoboken Girl, Local Girl Media, have your platform, have your, social platform, have your Instagram, your TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is that you want to do, have multiple platforms for sure, but have something that you own. If we're not learning anything else in this administration being in place, things can be taken away in a second. We do not own your Instagram. You do not own your Threads. You do not own your TikTok. What you can own is your own website, which I need to get on my own website. So I'm talking to myself here. You own your email list. My email list has grown tremendously. And we were talking, when you sent me your media kit, I know you have one as well that you own. Right. The internet would have to fully shut down for you to not be able to email somebody. Your website, your email address. You don't really collect people's addresses anymore, but that would be something that you would own as well. blogs, that kind of thing that you can direct people to, and you can still get in touch with your audience if all of these things shut down. So that's something that I would say from the business side of it is big. And then it is just an additional way that you can pitch yourself to people, right? If you say like, my email open rate is ridiculously high, but that's because I send out my Zoom link that way for a book club. So, but that's a selling point, right? Like if I'm telling people, oh yeah, like I can do this on Instagram, I can do this on TikTok, blah, blah. And I also can add this, your email, your coupon code or something like that in my email. I have I think it's like 63% open rate or something like that. Like that's crazy of over 3,000 emails. So that's a great business metric. And, you're luring people in with your book club and people want to join, but then you can add other things in your email as well.
That's great. That really is it, because I think a lot of times people forget that there are other ways outside of social media to make an impact or to build community, especially because you said like something can be here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
So lastly, about to wrap up, what book or author that is not widely known yet, and you're like, okay, this is going to be the next author that takes off, that you would recommend for people to take off right now, and so they could be like, Jordan told y'all. She told y'all.
Oh, the next author to really take off. I hope that they're not offended. I hope if I say that their names, that they're not like, I'm already taken off, I'm already big. Because to me, that they're big. I have two. One is Sahar Mustafa, and she's had a book out for a while now, The Beauty of Your Face. But this book is coming up called The Slate is Green. She's a Palestinian author. The Beauty of Your Face and this book have scenes set in Palestine. The other book, it's partially in the U.S. and then the main character does go visit Palestine. And I believe this one, this person is in Chicago, where she's actually from. And it's I would have to read it again to see if they actually go to Palestine in this book, but I know it's a Palestinian book. And then the other one, it's Lola Akinmade Ackerstrom. She is a African Swedish author. And I read one of her books years ago. And it's interesting because I worked for a Swedish company for 8 years right out of college and have been to Sweden a bunch, and I love it there. And this book is 3 women working in marketing, which I work in marketing in Sweden. So that was an interesting thing, just kind of have that experience reading. And then she has another book out after that. And then I'm actually moderating a book launch of hers in November. So she's out there. It's not that she's not. I don't know if she's as well known in the US as she is in the UK and just in Europe. But I would definitely say her as well. So Sahar Mustafa and Lola Akinmade. And I'm so sorry, Lola, if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
Well, you got to hear first. You got to hear first. So these are quick flash questions. You answer them right on point. No thinking. Okay. Reading in the day or reading at night?
Oh, reading at night.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Paperback or e-reader?
Oh, paperback.
Okay. Audiobooks or paperback?
Audio.
Fitness girly in the morning or fitness girly in the evening?
Oh, fitness girly in the evening. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, fitness girly in the morning. If you catch me after like 11 a.m., I'm not working out.
Okay. Girlfriends or Insecure?
Insecure.
Martin Luther King Jr. or Malcolm X?
No, we're not picking between Black advocates. I'm gonna have to go these days, Malcolm X.
Okay. I'm sorry, that's so funny. Is it Uchi Wally or is it One Mic?
Oh, I don't know what that means.
That's Nas. The song
Oh.
or One Mic.
I'm so sorry. I know my black card was revoked, but I don't have a choice. I'm so sorry.
That's so funny. Okay, let me do another one because I feel like I got to retake because I've never had that happen before.
I'm so embarrassed.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Okay, I'm trying to think of somebody. I don't even know. Like, this is so funny. I've never had that happen. Okay, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get somebody. Oh, is it original Destiny Child members or the present Destiny Child members?
Oh, I think I'm going to share my age and say the present Destiny's Child members. I was pretty little when it was there. I mean, I have writings on the wall and all of that, but
Mhm.
I was pretty little. So I'm going to have to say the current Destiny's Child members.
Okay. And last question, who is Jordan Hernandez?
Jordan Hernandez is a advocate of diverse readers, a fitness girl, and a lover of storytellers and of all types of people.
I love that. And tell people where they can find you and anything else you want to like put out there.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at _completely booked. That's where I am most of the time. Of course, slide into my DMs with your email address. If you want to join book club, we meet the first Tuesdays of every month virtually via Zoom. The author is always on from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we can connect and chit chat about books and on Instagram and or TikTok. TikTok is completely booked without the E at the end because it got hacked originally. And you can find out about all of my upcoming book swaps and book events and where I'll be on all those platforms.
Thank you so much, Jordan. This was great. I loved it. You were
Yes.
amazing. I knew you were going to be dope. So thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you.